Hey, I'm Sean. I started mensgroup.com, and I'm a reluctant men's group leader. And the guys in men's group in our community have been saying for a while, Sean, we want to hear more from you. But to be truthful, I never wanted to be the face of a men's work organization. I never wanted to really be a men's group leader or build a big community like this. It kind of just found me through adventure trips, guys sitting around after doing adventures and them getting into personal conversations, and also just attending men's groups locally for my own personal reasons, and just being really dissatisfied with what I found and being looking around for a men's group how I would like it to have been done when I was needing that kind of thing and not finding it, and just being talking to people, and it seemed like other guys wanted it as well, and I had no idea how big it would become. Mensgroup.com is now known as the leader in online men's groups, and it's a big organization. And so I want to help guys, and so I figured I would start recording videos, and hopefully this is the first of many. And the first question that I wanted to answer is the one I get most often, which is, why men's groups? And what is a men's group? What do you get from it? And the answer is different than I think people expect. I personally like men's groups that are not the super structured 8 to 10 guys sitting in somebody's basement or a church basement or somebody's garage. Don't get me wrong, I've taken great benefit from that kind of thing when I'm going through difficult times or in a new chapter of my life that I have no experience in and no friends can relate. A men's group is as good as it gets as far as a tool to help a guy navigate those situations. But for me, the real magic in that kind of a men's group is actually the individuals you meet there and the informal type of men's group you can structure in your own life. And so that's the kind of men's group that I really benefit from now. Is over those 20 years I've been leading men's groups, I've met 3 individuals in particular that I keep in touch with, and I really use as a support system to help me get empathy and guidance when I need it. And all 3 guys play slightly different roles. One of them is a guy who happens to have a very similar set of symptoms and issues he faces personally as a result of his upbringing, which was very similar to my upbringing. Very similar parent dynamics, family systems, and it's been so beneficial, so damn beneficial to hear this guy talk about his experiences, because he words it slightly different than me and thinks about it slightly different than me, and him putting words to his stuff helps me understand and put words to my stuff that I haven't been able to articulate. I knew was there, but I didn't know how to explain. And that makes it easier when that stuff pops up to manage it, to be clear about what's going on, and to communicate better to others around me. And it's been so cathartic to just share these private inner workings of my family growing up, and where I've run into issues in relationships as a result of that, and other parts of my life, and have him go, oh man, I've been going through the exact same thing. Because I've always been a mingler and a networker and a people person, very social. And often I find that when I run into these challenges, especially when it gets into the family dynamics, emotional stuff, nervous system, communication tendencies, psychology, basically, most people have very different setups and cannot relate to how I am. And I've only run into a few people who are similar to me in those ways and who do think about it and want to work through it and talk about it. And so to have one of those guys on my team that I can shoot an audio note to over WhatsApp anytime and get support, get empathy, get guidance, and even a swift kick in the ass sometimes when I need it, has just been so beneficial. And then I also have another guy who is more of a health mentor in that way, and then I've got another guy who's more of an entrepreneur mentor in that way, who helps me understand my relationship to business, because it's complex as a business owner. And so I kind of have structured this informal men's group in my life now, where I do have a regular group that meets every 2 weeks, and it's a bunch of guys, and we get a chance to talk, and I love that for perspective, getting different perspectives, for like hearing how other guys approach things, being exposed to new ideas, fantastic. But where the rubber hits the road for me is in the relationships I built through men's groups along the way, and this sort of informal, more casual, on-the-fly men's group that I've benefited from since. And so I share this because I think a lot of guys are put off by the structure. It's like it can feel stuffy or forced when you go to attend a men's group like the ones we run online over at mensgroup.com, or the local ones in your local church or community center, or some guy in his garage, or coaches men's groups. But without fail, I've always met guys who can play a supportive role in my life. And so, if you've been thinking about joining a men's group, some guys love the traditional structure, but it doesn't have to look like that either. This could just be a pool you fish in to find other guys like you who are on similar journeys, who want to talk about it and who want to play supportive roles in each other's lives. And if you would have told me that 10 years ago that I'd have a friend that lives in Barcelona, Spain, who I talk with almost every day, just shoot little audio notes here and there about the most inner workings of our minds and nervous systems, and how that's affecting our relationships and how that's affecting our work lives, and that I'd be reaching out to a buddy in Austin, Texas about entrepreneurship stuff, or a friend in the middle of the plains of Idaho about health stuff, and that would be a solid foundation for my life. I'd be like, no, I don't want a bunch of relationships spread all over the place. But the likelihood of finding that in my town, especially being in a small town, is basically impossible. And I've learned that I have to fish in the right pond, right? And it's like, where are the ponds that I can go to that have guys that are facing similar challenges to what I am, or situations or phases of life, and who want to figure out how to be healthy and work through things in healthy ways, and who are keen to talk about it and share their experiences. And there's really no better place. There may be no other place than a men's group. Maybe yoga studios, but not really. Maybe book clubs, or reading, hiking groups. But you gotta wade through so many people in the general public to find somebody who actually wants to talk and work through this stuff, So in my experience, it's basically impossible to do that. And so I started fishing in men's groups and found a couple great catches that have then turned into this informal men's group, which has greatly been benefiting my life. So for what that's worth, that's why I love men's groups. That's why I think they're incredibly beneficial. I think there are very few guys who couldn't benefit from that kind of a thing. Unfortunately, the Superman complex that a lot of guys have, that society and the media has given them, of you need to figure this out by yourself, and to share the inner workings of your mind and your your thoughts and your emotions and your desires and your fears and difficult things you're running into and your shortcomings, is a sign of weakness. But what I found is it makes me a lot stronger. And it's just like going to the mechanic. My car breaks. I don't have the tools to fix it. There's no shame in that. Give it to a guy who can. Fix the problem. Don't bury your head in the sand, because that's just going to lead to more problems. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed my thoughts on men's groups. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this in the comments. I'm so grateful for all the structured men's groups I've been a part of, and they've led me to these incredible guys that I feel like I'm going to be friends with for life. And if you're curious about men's groups, we've got some great ones going over at mensgroup.com. We have thousands of guys in the community and men's groups going on all sorts of topics, from porn addiction to saving relationships to setting boundaries, people pleasing, nice guy syndrome, to, I don't know, dealing with anxiety and depression, addictions. And it's just a bunch of normal everyday guys from all walks of life who are looking to meet other guys like you and talk about what's really happening in their lives. Yeah. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, and let me know if there are any other topics you'd like to hear my thoughts around moving forward. I'd love to create some more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in Men's Group.